I'm here to tell you how you can get 5,000 subscribers in 5 days. Just kidding, that's not why I'm here at all, but that is what happened. I thought I would come and properly introduce myself. I'm Emily Henson. Don't get used to me looking like this. Most of the time I've got twigs in my hair or paint on my face or dirt in my nails. So I bought this bungalow 4 years ago in Margate by the sea. It's a 1950s bungalow and it was in need of some serious TLC. But because I was working with what I like to call a pay-as-you-go budget, I actually ended up living in it during the renovations. I documented a lot of it, and even though it's now in a much better state, I'm still chipping away at it, bit by painful bit. But just a few years later, my bungalow got a double-page spread in the Sunday Times. This is Life Unstyled, and this is what I've been up to lately. It's started raining. I can't stop. Dug a hole. One more plant to get in. I've spent 20 years styling photo shoots for brands, everybody from high street fashion to luxury, Primark, Versace, eBay. My job as a set designer and stylist has been to create the environment that the photo shoot or film happens in. I've also written 5 interiors books. Some of these have been reissued with different covers, so just search my name and you'll find the latest issue. I always just keep them on hand just in case, you know. This is my latest. It's called Create. It's really good. I wrote this book when I was renovating the house, but we'll talk more about that later. So I bought this bungalow 4 years ago in Margate, which is a lovely seaside town in the southeast coast of England. When I bought it, it was really neglected and run down. Basically, you come in the front door and this whole thing will be... And then you've got this wall here. I was living in London, my kids were getting ready to leave home, both at university at that time, and I had been renting in a part of London that I could no longer afford to buy in. And with the kids leaving home, I decided that I wanted to get out of London. I actually grew up in Margate. I lived here as a child from the ages of about 10 to 17, so I knew it well. This is me in Margate, age about 16, and then here, more than 30 years later. It wasn't a place I ever thought I'd come back to. If you know anything about Margate, it's kind of been having a bit of a renaissance in the last few years. I started thinking about where I'd like to live. I knew I wanted to live by the sea. Looked at a few other places and then I just thought, this is crazy. I love it here. Just because I didn't think I'd come back doesn't mean I can't come back. Initially I was looking at flats. I was driving down whenever I could. Bye, Kimchi. Off through his new cat flap, which he's just recently learned. It took him a month to figure out how to use it. I'd come down in my car, do as many viewings as I could, sit in the car with fish and chips and a can of Coke. Usually it was raining and miserable. I kept finding places that I thought were okay. There were a few that I actually made offers on. I made an offer on one house twice, lost it both times, and now I'm very thankful. It was good that I didn't get it. When I came to do the viewing for this particular house, it was that moment that you hear about where you just know. I walked up and I just could see it. I could see the potential. Now, I'm not an expert by any means when it comes to renovating or DIY. I am a doer and I'm a trier. And I didn't do all of this work myself. I worked with a builder, but I have also done lots of the work myself. I poured these floors, for example. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's all I've done in here. Surely that's not true. I made the curtains. I decorated. How about that? So in my books and originally in my blog, which was called Life Unstyled back in 2009, I've always championed the idea of creativity before consumption. So the idea that before you buy something new, you try to work with what you have is something I've been doing for many, many years. Not to say that you can't ever buy anything new, it's unavoidable, obviously. But I was raised by a mum who had an antique clothing shop. So back in the 80s, I grew up, I'd go to after school to hang out in my mum's antique clothing shop. So I was kind of primed to understand or to be okay with, I guess, the idea of secondhand. It's become really popular now, which is great. Everyone's kind of getting on board with all sorts of secondhand marketplaces, obviously, for everything from fashion to homeware to anything, really. And this is Isabel Marant shirt that I bought on, I can't remember where I bought it. Secondhand though, cheap. I think it cost me about £10. These French military trousers that I bought recently for £20. First time wearing them, actually. So yeah, the same thing applies to fashion, interiors, the home, for me at least. So in my work as a set designer and stylist, I got really good at quick fixes. When you're working in a studio or on a location, you just have to work fast. You've got to be really well prepared with all of your props and whatever you've designed, and then you have to work fast. It's not about longevity, it's about creating a set that looks great and fits the brief, but doesn't have to last long. Put me in a room with a bunch of stuff and, you know, an hour, and I can style you the most beautiful, well, maybe not beautiful, whatever the brief is, lived in space. That's what I'm good at. When I bought the house, obviously you do have to think about longevity when you're talking about a property that you're going to live in. Not everything can be, you know, blue tacked. That was something that I really had to learn. Not to say that I still don't love a quick fix, and I am a little bit slapdash in the way I do things. That'll do. But I think that's okay too. It's a mix, isn't it? Some things you've got to do properly and other things you can kind of fudge a little bit. I have learned to be much more patient. Fuck's sake. This for me has been what I like to call a pay-as-you-go renovation. I worked on shoots to save up money to do the next project, which is why I ended up living in the house when I was renovating. Not an ideal situation. There are still so many question marks and there's a lot to do. And yeah, we are living in the space as it is right now and cooking there. Not ideal. But this is how it is, and you just deal with it and thanking my lucky stars. If you haven't seen one of my shorts about that, go and have a look. Yeah, it was incredibly stressful, but it was a choice. It was a choice I made. I didn't have the money to live somewhere else and do the renovation, and I also didn't have the money to do everything all at once. So as I say, pay as you go. I would do a shoot, make whatever money I could, and then do the bathroom or, you know, do the floors or whatever. Actually, the floors were the only thing that I had to do before I moved in, which is why I did what I did, which is I poured screed. But that is going to be in a separate video that I'm making. So the thing about this house for me, and hopefully something that I can share with you, is that it's really given me a sense of purpose at a time that was quite difficult in my life. My children had left home, which is great. Of course, they're off in the world. That's wonderful. My work had trickled, the work that I'd supported myself on for many years. The industry had changed, and suddenly I didn't have as much work coming in, therefore not as much income coming in. You know, I thought I might lose the house. It gave me a sense of purpose. The knowledge that I've been able to really revive this house that was so sad and so neglected, and create a space that really feels loved. And I think that's the thing I get when people come over. This is not a polished home. There's, you know, there's plenty of things that I've done wrong. There are so many mistakes I've made. Why do I have so many pendant lights? Like, why did I make that decision? I've taught myself a lot. I've learned a lot. I know for a lot of people, renovating a house is a thing that you start and then you finish and then you just live in it. I enjoy the process, that's the truth. I don't think that a home ever should be done. That's the name of a chapter in one of my books, in fact, A Home Is Never Done. A Home Is Never Done is a chapter in my third book, Life Unstyled, which is all about how to embrace imperfection and create a home that you love. And we've featured so many inspiring homes in Paris and New York, Brussels, the UK. It's kind of my favourite of my books. because in reality, a home should always be evolving. At least that's what I think. But I know for some people, they want a job to be done and then they move in and they don't think about it again. They put a picture on the wall, that picture stays there. As a stylist, I'm constantly changing things, always moving things around. Oh. It's almost like it's a little bit of an obsession, perhaps. But it's what I enjoy doing. I hope that you will stick around. I've got so much to share, everything from how I renovated, the choices I made, from everything from the flooring to all of the, the raw plaster that I've got on the wall. This kitchen cabinet here, I designed that. Sorry, kitchen island, designed that. It's on wheels. Everything in this house is on wheels. I'll explain why another time. I made my mobile kitchen island out of 4 identical sets of drawers, 1960s drawers, and I store absolutely everything in it. Another thing about this house is that it's actually the first time I've lived on my own. So I had kids when I was quite young. Before that, I went to university and had flatmates. And then before that, I lived at home. Now, at the ripe old age of, I'm living on my own. And so I actually get to think about, hello. Don't look at the cat. No, no. Focus here. What I was saying is that it's the first time that I've been able to make decisions based entirely on what I want, not have to ask anyone else's opinion. But what that also means is that it's all on me to do it and to pay for it and to make it happen. And he's bloody useless. There's still so much to do in the house. From the bedrooms actually haven't really been properly decorated. I've stripped the walls and gave them a really beautiful finish. But they haven't ever really been properly decorated. Currently working on the garden. The garden is in desperate need of help. I've been kind of working on it over the years, but now that the house is in a much more livable state, that's my current project. What else am I doing? Mezzanine up there. You might have seen one of my other videos. It's kind of like a library and a chill out area for when my kids come to visit. But I kind of want to change it up a bit, thinking about putting a little desk up there, maybe a tiny sofa. I found this 1970s low-slung tiny little sofa over the weekend at a junk shop that I think will be perfect if I can get it up there. I can share with you some of my wins and some of my losses, some things I will definitely do if I ever do this to another house, some things I will absolutely never do again. I'm learning on the job. As a stylist and set designer, I also plan on sharing with you some styling tips, things that I use on set that you can also use at home. You could join me in my prop room if that interests you, which is basically just one of my spare bedrooms where I've built some metal shelves and hid them behind a linen curtain. This is where I keep a lot of the stuff that I use for shoots and for styling. I've also got more stuff in my garage and in the loft, because the thing about being a stylist is you have a lot of stuff. I'm about to start designing a bar in Margate, so if I'm allowed to, I might even share some of that process with you as well. If any of that sounds like your cup of tea, wherever you are in the world, join me in Margate as I work on all the other bits and bobs that need doing. Let me know what it is you want to see. I know what I'm going to share with you, but what kind of things do you want to see? Let me know. And don't forget to do that thing where you like and you subscribe, because it really helps with the algorithm. And I'm new here, and yes, I know I did get 5,000 subscribers in 5 days, but could be a fluke. Thanks for watching. You can get 5,000 subscribers. This is how you can get 5,000. Oh my god. This is how you can get 5,000 subscribers. Why can't I say that word? Oh, why do I sound like such an idiot? I know I seem like a crazy cat lady, but I am.